Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday with the Heart Girls, live on several platforms. We are going live on Facebook and on YouTube. And recently we have started going live on TikTok. So if you would like to join us on TikTok, you can go and check out our TikTok called The Undivided Heart, and you will see me go live there as well. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube right now and you have a TikTok, I just would encourage you to go on to TikTok and watch us there, because it helps us get the word out on TikTok, where we're able to really just connect with more people, have them understand what it is that we do, how powerful it is to transform your heart in just a very short period of time. And we have really a unique way of doing it, where we're connecting with those internal parts of us that have been shut down, oftentimes by us, but also by others, where we believed lies about ourselves. We believed something other than the truth, that you were created for goodness and greatness, and that God has a plan for your life, and that it doesn't have to look like striving and pushing and trying so hard, that it's really something that you can step into. And so every now and then I'm going to be looking this way, because that's where my cell phone is. And that's where I'm on TikTok. So we go live on two places. This week you have me, because Susan is on vacation. She's enjoying herself in a tropical vacation. Man, it is. I'm in Dallas, and I came home from a tropical place on Sunday, and yeah, definitely was shocked with my grounding on Monday morning. It was 39 degrees Monday morning, but it was amazing still, because I did miss my pets, my chickens, and my little dog, Elvis, my little cavapoo. So I was able to spend some time with them while I was grounding. But today I am going to talk about what I experienced this last week. My husband and I led a marriage retreat. It was the first one we'd ever led together. And I was a little bit nervous, because I've always led retreats with Susan and our team, but being able to lead it with my husband was extremely rewarding. And we learned so much about each other, and it was really amazing. So, honestly, my heart is still so absolutely full from hold on a second. I made some notes and I want to pull those notes up if I can find them. Here we go. Yeah. So, no, here they are. Hey, when you're live, it's like whatever, right? You just see people in the realness of who they are. Hey, one of our taglines in As the Undivided Heart is to allow yourself to be authentic. And authentic doesn't mean perfect, right? So you're going to see us whenever you join these lives, just be real and vulnerable at times. I encourage you to do the same. So, like I was saying, I just got back from our marriage retreat, and it was amazing. So, what my husband and I are doing, we're going to lead one once a year until he retires, and then we'll do them more often. But it was just amazing. Honestly, my heart is still so full from the experience. What happened there reminded me why I love doing this work. It's just so rewarding when people come together, not to perform, but to be able to be real. I watched heaven move. I watched connection happen. I watched aha moments show up. I watched people step into more of their authentic self. You know, our retreats aren't about fixing marriages. They're about taking your marriage from good to great, or good to amazing. But one of the things that is so powerful when we get together is there are things that show up that maybe need repair in our marriage. Like, it's not something that's broken, but it's something that could be elevated. And whenever couples come together encountering love, amazing things happen. And as I watch these couples open up, I realized something. and this is what I really want to talk about, is that it's not just about marriage. It is about how all of us were designed for connection because it heals. And so, as I'm talking today, you may not be married, you may not be in a relationship, but this is something that you can engage with in your life because you can engage with it in your family of origin, with your friends, with your coworkers, um, even setting like an atmosphere for your home, for you to come home to. So one of the things that I notice, and these are a few takeaways, is that healing accelerates when it's shared. And that's what was so cool, is that we were all able to take things away from other couples that maybe we weren't aware of or hadn't paid attention to before. So, like one couple married over 10 years said something that really stopped me in my tracks. And it was something so amazing. And just proved to be so worth it for what we did in this 5 days together. The wife said, I feel like I'm finally going to get to know my husband for the first time. They've been married for over 10 years because he felt safe enough to open up. It was the first time she experienced him being open with her. And another couple started to look at their own places of pain and realizing that what showed up between them was actually what still needed to be healed within them. Right? These people didn't come because their marriage was broken. They came because they wanted to elevate what they already had, but they were able to see things within themselves. And then another couple left saying that they felt elevated and ready to begin their own marriage ministry, and that they realized that they could do some of the things that we were doing and bring people together that were going to be, their type of people. So it was like watching hearts wake up, not because of what we did, not because of what me and Jimmy did, but it was because of the space that was created. I have gotten really good at holding space for people, something that I've learned on my journey through the heart healing space. And whenever you are able to hold space for people, amazing things happened. Love created the safety. And so when people feel safe, they get to encounter healing. They get to encounter the authentic parts of their heart that need to be seen, that need to be validated, that need to be loved. And so for you guys that are listening, like I said, you may not be married, you may not be in a relationship, but when was the last time you shared an encounter with someone? Like when I say encounter, I'm like just being real, just encountering each other's authenticity, having coffee with someone, meeting at the water cooler at work, or, a family member, really allowing them to see you. So an encounter where you felt lighter, not where you were having to do the work. I mean, I used to be in relationships with people, and I realized just a few years ago that the reason why I felt like relationships were such work is because I never allowed people to see me. I showed up in these relationships and I just did for others. If you've listened to me very much, you know that part of my story is I was a chameleon. I hid in like in an open group, and the way I hid is that I would figure out what it is that you needed from me, and I would do it. I would be that. I would be your sounding board. I would be, one who gave you wisdom or gave you suggestions, or, we're kind of like a counselor, or I would go do stuff with you, things that you like to do. But I never was seen. I never was allowing anyone to see who I was. And so I left those places not feeling lighter or enjoying myself per se. I felt heavier. I felt alone. I felt unseen, but it wasn't other people's fault. It was my fault because I did not know how to be seen. I didn't know how to encounter somebody. I didn't know how to let them see me. And so when we encounter someone, we can leave that space feeling lighter, like we shared a burden, and also more known. It is the cry of every one of our hearts to be fully known. In fact, when we started our retreat, that was something that I did is I had everybody write on a piece of paper, really cute heart sticky notes. I don't have any right here, but they were super cute. And you just wrote one word or a phrase of something that you wanted for the 5 days. And so even here, as you're in your space at work, at home, driving your car, think about what's an intention that you want for the next 5 days of your life. Like it doesn't have to be that you go away, it's getting intentional. And one of them wrote that they wanted to be more known and more loved. They wanted to experience love deeper. And so, what is your intention? What is something that you want to get out of even just today? And then think about like for the next 5 days, what is it that you want to get out of it? Do you want to meet with someone and see if you can really allow them to encounter you? I am always reminded that healing in community is exponential. The work that we do, we have several different types of group things that we do. We have encounters that we do at the retreat center in Canyon, Texas. We have events or things that we have retreats where people come. We have retreats where people meet us in other places. And we have events online where we give people opportunity to heal in community. Community is often where our hearts are broken, thinking about how another person hurts us. If two people are together, that's community. And when one heart opens in that space of community, it invites other hearts to do the same. So it is a safe place. It's like we get to ride in on what someone else is experiencing and then ask ourselves some questions about how this affects us. And it also just reverberates through the atmosphere, and we set like an entire different atmosphere. It changes it. It allows for there to be the ability to go deeper with each other, to be seen. Think about in your home. You know, if you're in a marriage or in a relationship, or you have children at home, or you have a roommate, think about in your home, how do you want to set your atmosphere? What can you do to begin to move into having that type of atmosphere in your home? And for me, it started off with really just setting the space of like how I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel at peace. I wanted to feel at rest in my home. And so I created ways to do that. And one of the ways that I started with is putting the right music on. What music is so powerful because it can change really the dynamics of how we're feeling. I mean, if I put on certain music, I want to dance and move around, and that gives me a little bit of a fun vibe where it gives me energy. If I want to relax, I might put on something like jazz or frequency music or something that really brings me into more of a peaceful state. My nervous system will follow what it is that I'm doing. And so in your home, in your marriage or your relationship, your business, and it doesn't have to be your business. It could just be your work environment. What do you want to create in your work environment? What type of environment do you want to go to work every day and feel? And it, you know, you can say there are people there that make XYZ happen in a negative way. But you know what? You get to be the thermometer. You get to change the atmosphere with your intentions, with your heart's desire, with learning to hold space, with learning to allow your heart to be seen. And, you know, this doesn't happen in one day, but what it does is it slowly happens as we become intentional about the things that we want. I'm convinced that most people don't have the life they want because they don't really know what they want. They've never gone into a space and been intentional about what do I want my life to look like? And that's what one of the big takeaways, a lot of people left the retreat understanding that they want certain things in their life. And so to do those, to get those things, we've got to have space for it. We've got to even, you know, tell God that this is what I want. You know, if you believe in God or if you believe in the universe, you got to put it out there. And when you put it out there, then you're able to receive the things, create a dream life. Another thing I noticed this last week was that dream piece. Somewhere along the way, I think when we get so busy, we might get married, have children, then life happens and, we go to work, we have all of these things we have to do. We somewhere along the way just stop dreaming. Maybe there's not time for it because we're so exhausted, but maybe it's that we just have allowed life to get really loud. And when life gets really loud, we get practical and we stop thinking that dreaming is something that we need and it becomes optional. And so when that happens, you know, we miss out on a lot of fun and we miss out on a lot of laughter, which is so healing. And I've learned that dreaming is where intimacy is reborn. It is a very vulnerable place to be in to talk about your dreams because it's letting that internal space come alive. And it allows there to be like a remembering of who we are, a remembering of what we want in life. And, if you're part of a family or part of a marriage or part of a business, it's remembering who you're becoming together. And, everybody is growing, hopefully, and changing. I mean, it's likely you're not the same person you were when you were 20. If you're like me, 50, or, if you're 20, you're not the same person you were when you were 10. And so we're all dreaming. I mean, we're all moving, we're all growing. And dreaming gives our life direction. It gives our life an ability to see, like, intentionally, where do I want to go? And your dream doesn't have to stay the same dream. We have, shared dreams that create unity, like in a marriage or in a family. It creates, a vision beyond the daily grind where you can connect with each other, but you have also individual dreams, things that you want for yourself. I had a dream to have long hair. So I have long hair now. Why? Because I decided that's what I wanted. And I went on a path, a journey to find out how I could do that. Well, my hair wasn't growing the way I wanted it to. So you know what I did? I went and got extensions and I love them. I feel like such a mermaid today. And so it's just that's a silly thing, but it was something that I decided to do. And I didn't just make a decision overnight. I made a decision that I wanted something. And then I went and found the places that I could get that. I did my research. And you know what? That vision came to reality. And so, what dream have you had? What is something that you had, a dream that you had when you were younger, maybe? Something that you wished, dreamed that you would do. Maybe it was a career. Maybe it was you dreamed your family of origin would be, really close or something. Or maybe you have a dream about a ministry you want to start or a business that you want to start. Or maybe you're dreaming about having a family. What does it look like? What is it that your heart desires for? And it doesn't have to be something that is materialistic. It could be something that you want to see in your internal life. Maybe you have a dream that you won't be, caught up in stress or overwhelmed and you would have more time to do the things that you want to do. That's a dream. I mean, there's so many people that are just really head down, butt up, just doing the things of life, that daily grind, and not even getting to enjoy life at all because dreaming had to stop because practicality needed to come in. Whenever I was getting divorced or had gotten divorced and I had two young children, they were 5 and 8, I had to figure out how to make it work. And I wasn't financially set up for being a single mom and raising two children. So a lot of that dreaming had to set aside. And I put that aside for a very long time until eventually it came back around and I was able to have space to dream. What in these places in your life, what would happen if you invited even God back into the dream? Like, so many of us sell ourselves short, sell our lives short, our time frame short. So just even asking your heart that question, what would my dreams look like if I invited God to be a part of them? God wants for you to have all things and not for the sake of having them, but honestly, for the sake of feeling the abundant life that you were intended to live. You are somebody who God wants to bless. And like I said, when we get intentional about what we want, we give opportunity for those blessings to show up. So, how can you really begin to experience the things that I'm talking about with the being intentional about what it is that you want, connection, healing through encounter? And I've talked about several things today. It really all comes down to how are we building community in our life? I think we're in a time where so many people are so lonely and we scroll on social media, which, hey, I'm going live on social media, so I'm not against social media at all, but let's use it to connect. Let's not use it to hide. Let's use it to put ourselves out there. One of the things that I found that begins to change your experience of life is you can just really begin to slow down and be present. And that was something that my husband really experienced this last week. He's a very fast paced person. He likes to be around, I would call it chaos. He would call it fun, but he likes to be around a lot of buzzing, a lot of noise. And that slowing down allowed him to be present. It allowed him to really begin to enjoy himself in every moment without there needing to be something to, bring him life. He was able to really just sit in his own self and enjoy the space that we were in. So you can start by that. You can start by slowing down and becoming present. And the way that I love to do it to remind myself is just to follow the breath. And so when we have those moments where we can just sit down or lie down and begin to just follow your breath. And then begin to elongate your breath. So letting your inhale be longer, your exhale be longer, but continuing to follow it. And that is a great way, really simple, to slow down and be present. Even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, it will begin to change your life. You can also create micro encounters of connection in your home. So it's just about the space of getting intentional, moments where you listen deeper. If somebody is talking to you and you're holding your phone or you're listening to something else or you have something else in mind, to just kind of turn and pay attention to that person. Go a little bit deeper. Listen for the things that their heart is saying. Another way you can is to begin to laugh again. If find, I like clean comedy. Nate Bargatze to me is one of the greatest right now. He's so good. And just ways to help you laugh again, just to have fun in the moment. Where you really stop trying to be understood and you begin to start seeking to understand. And that really does begin to connect you to the people in your life. So those micro encounters of connection in your home or even your work environment, wherever it is that you spend time, just allowing yourself to go a little bit deeper, to even listen a little bit deeper and to let them know that you heard what they said because you really wanted them to know that you understood what they were saying. And then thinking about if you have a family dinner time where you all get together, so begin to go deeper in those spaces. Begin to maybe have a rule of no phones at the table during dinner. Or if you have a friend group that you get together, maybe you leave your phones in the car or you leave them in your purse or, away so you're not distracted and you can give the people that you're with your full attention. When you let love move through you, oh my gosh, it transforms more than just you. It heals your household. It will shift the culture around you. It will create a ripple that changes the atmosphere wherever you go, which is so cool to me that me letting love move through me changes everything on the outside of my life. So just kind of in closing, because I'm getting down to my 30-minute mark, this retreat was amazing. It fed my heart. It renewed things within me. It awakened parts of me that I didn't know needed awakening. And it reminded me that when people come together with open hearts, heaven meets them there, exactly in the space that they are. That same presence is available every day, though. There's nothing spectacular that happened at the retreat that can't happen in your home with another person. It's honestly just getting intentional, learning to hold space, learning to move towards people with deeper desire to listen, to connect. And those can happen in those micro moments. They don't have to be huge, massive shifts that happen in the beginning. It's these small things that begin to change over time. Is when we choose connection over control. And when we make space for encounter instead of rushing through life, that's when these things happen. And so, my blessing to you, I'm just going to speak over you that your home would be filled with laughter again. And the laughter that comes from those deep belly laughs, where you are feeling the joy, you're feeling the fun, and you're exposing everybody around you to it. That if you're married or you're have deep friendships or you're in a place of community, that you would have a place of shared dreams and that y'all would learn to hold space for each other to create safety. And it doesn't have to come from the top. It can go definitely from the middle, and you can definitely create new connection points and a whole different environment. And that you would never stop encountering love together with another person, with another group. And so, what's just leaving you with a thought? What's one area of your life where you want to experience more connection and healing? Just one area. Like it could be your marriage, it could be your family of origin, with your children, with some friendships. Maybe it's your coworkers. Where's one area where you want to experience more connection, which is going to automatically bring you healing? It's just the way it is. So drop it in the comments. Let me know. And we will be believing for that for you, because I know when we get intentional, we begin to send a different frequency, a different message out to God, out to the universe, out to the field, the quantum field, which I believe is the intelligence of God. And when we do that, it's amazing what comes back to us. It's the things that we need. And so I want to encourage you, just get intentional this week and see what happens. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And of course, if you feel like you would like to go deeper with some of the work that we do, we offer a free discovery call. It's complimentary. It's something that we want to connect with you. We want to hear you deeply. We want to understand where you're at so that we can help you with, we can tell you about what we do and we can help you go to the place that you want to go. We offer several different options. So we would love to meet with you in the safe space of your home, where we can just talk through that. And so Susan and I, we are the ones who do those discovery calls. So you'll meet with one of us. And if you're interested in doing that, you can easily find that information on our website at theundividedheart.com. Super simple. We look forward to meeting you in those spaces. And of course, we'll see you back here next week for another live from our hearts to you on things that really matter to us. So be blessed.